Hi guys, I'm MC called Truth. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I started making a video on Simon Parkes. Now, the problem was that I filmed this video and I didn't get to finish it, and then I realised there was lots of technical difficulties during the video, and then I was busy for 2 weeks. So I've only just managed to get around to finishing this video off and patching over the technical difficulties. So I do apologise for any of those sort of technical difficulties you may experience while watching the video, but here it is, finally got around to finishing it, so check it out. Okay, guys, so I want to kick this off today. I get lots of emails from current or ex-Connecting Consciousness members, or even just people that are following him and follow his spiel. One of the things that I do talk about and have talked about for a long time, and I've been investigating Simon for a couple of years now, is that a lot of these people, not just Simon, lots of other of these secondary mainstream media circus, these circus clowns who put out this information, who put out apparent intel and claim to be connected to insiders. One of the things that they tend to do is put out dates. This is going to happen. The emergency broadcast is going to happen on this date. Things are going to happen on. Things are happening soon. Good old Charlie Ward. You know, things are happening. It's all pantomime. You know, he's recently said that the QFS has recently just gone live, which is funny because he had said last year that it was going to go live around sometime in April 2021. Plus, we don't see any kind of follow-up from this. Oh, the QFS has gone live recently. Okay, so where's the evidence of this? So yeah, these guys are making updates. I receive lots of emails, as I say, from people being affected by this. Lots of people are affected. You know, these words mean something. People saying this apparent intel means something. People go away and they tell their families, oh my God, I've just heard out from a reliable source that things are all going to shut down. We need to withdraw money. We need to stock up on cans of beans. And we need to, you know, we need to be ready for what's coming on the such and such day. And the most recent ones was September the 24th. And I saw social media lit up by this September the 24th date. Apparently, you know, it's going to happen, and people need to be ready for it. And lots of people got duped by this. And if you did, you know, don't feel ashamed, but just learn from that, because this happens so often, and you should learn not to trust these characters that have dates. For a start, dates are a massive red flag when people put that out there. Who's telling, especially people like Charlie Ward and Simon Parkes, these, you know, these English content creators and the amassed huge followings about the inner workings of what's going on in America and this, you know, this current war that's happening behind the scenes, apparently, right? Who's telling them, who's leaking them dates to put on their podcasts? It's ridiculous. And these guys are shills. And I have proved it. I will prove it. And I will continue to prove it. And September the 24th was another one of these situations where Simon Parkes had apparently got news from the Pentagon, of all places. Yeah, he got intel that this could happen.
Everybody's talking about the 23rd of September.
Or the 24th.
And the 24th. So yeah, we're talking a few days away. So we're gonna find out. We're gonna find out, and then if nothing happens, I wish I had a can that I could kick, because that would kick it down the road a little bit right now if I could.
Like it has been done for years now.
And the Kool-Aid is strong, because a lot of those people will continue lingering on.
Again, another date, another panic. Lots of personalities have come forward. Simon Parkes has sent emails out saying that the Pentagon have advised him. The Pentagon have advised him to let his Connecting Consciousness guys know that they need to stock up. The banks are going to shut down possibly for up to 10 days. You know, stock up on your tinned foods, get your prepping sorted. And I know that pretty much all of these kind of what I call the secondary mainstream media circus, a lot of them have all come forward to say the same things. And now you see all these social media posts flying around. I will put forward, and if I'm wrong, I'll eat my hat, or at least a part of it, because I probably won't be able to ingest all of it. But I'll
I'd like to see you try to eat the bill.
I will actually try and eat some of my hat. I probably will not get very far in it, but I'll try. If I am wrong, that nothing is going to happen on the 24th of September. I base this on my previous predictions. I say predictions, assertions that all of the other dates EBS is happening tonight. It's going to be an emergency broadcast system. Oh, the world's going to stop. The world's going to end. Buy toilet roll, buy canned goods. For the last 2 years, how many of them have we had? But the thing is, one day my luck's going to run out because something will happen one day. Something will, and maybe even on Saturday, something. I mean, I very much doubt it's going to be on the day that they predict. I mean,
right. But what is the saying about a broken clock is right twice a day?
Twice a day. At some point, there's going to be something that happens. Now, it even swings me more into, if someone says the 24th is going to happen, and even lots of these, even if it's coming from Simon's Pentagon sources, if enough people say that, then it makes me even like 24th is definitely not going to happen, because what are the chances that they're going to get it right? It's not going to, because they're just like, it's like pin the tail on a donkey. They're blindfolded and going, yeah, emergency broadcast system's going to, stock up on your foot. Yeah, it's going to happen. So I would put money on it, but I don't have money to spare. So I'll try and eat my hat if I'm wrong. Nothing will happen on Saturday. There you go. There's my prediction, assertion, and also my, what I will do. I will try and eat my hat on air if I'm wrong.
I would love to see.
And I say nothing will happen.
It has to be drastic.
Nothing of major significance.
Yeah, because something will happen.
Stock up on food, and people are saying take out your cash.
Right.
You're going to need for at least 10 days. If something happens where the bank's closed down for 10 days, things like that, I will try and eat my hat. It's not going to happen.
It's got to be extreme.
So I said there with quite a fair amount of confidence that I would eat my hat on air if nothing significant happened on the date of the 24th of September, this date that everyone had been saying about and people were panicking about. So, I'd said days before that's not going to happen. It didn't, and thankfully I did not have to eat my hat. What a surprise! And so I received this email that I wanted to share with you all. It's not the first email I've received like this. Many people don't really want me to share what's happened to them, and there's lots of comments on many of my videos of other people having the same sort of experience. Some people saying, well, this happened, it was very embarrassing, I told all of my family this, but I saw your videos afterwards, and thankfully I can now share with other people that are being duped by these grifters what's going on and what to look out for. But this is what the email said. Hi. Can't believe this BS I ended up telling my elderly parents who have no local shop and live in a village, and my brother in New York who left the city. All scaremongering being filtered because of a tip-off to Simon Parkes from the bleeding Pentagon. I literally ended up spending a fortune from camping shops, and I've never seen such scared, paranoid people. Really dangerous. I lived through the Cold War, and my uncle was in special ops, and even after his death it still can't be realised what he did during the Cold War. I have come to realise the guy that runs CC, Simon Parkes, is has totally illusions of grandeur. I've begun to join the dots with these guru leaders in this so-called truth spiritual movement, and when they reveal their childhood, they all seem to have mummy or daddy issues.
This is the alien being that I call Mum.
Classic narc and personality disorder. They make rules and they want their followers to obey them, and follow and agree to the same BS and do as they're told. I would like to see you go on Channel 4 and expose these people. There is some very dubious goings on. And it's funny she mentions Channel 4 because, of course, Simon was in the Channel 4 documentary years ago, Confessions of an Alien Abductee, which was quite hilarious.
Having an alien mum isn't Simon's only close encounter.
That is the being that I claim to have a sexual relations with.
So do you have any alien children?
You're looking for one here. This is the name, Saka.
So that's your child?
She goes on to say, I know child trafficking has gone on, but it's really sick to hook people in on this. I agree. I find it kind of weird that both Simon Parkes and Charlie Ward use analogies about children. Simon Parkes used one about a child in the dark with the light in one of his broadcasts. A red flag came up for me, and I said to myself, don't be silly. Same with Charlie Ward, who said about a naughty child who stole sweets from a sweet shop being followed around the shop. I find it strange that people are being rounded up, lots of them who have not been vaccinated, joined these groups, and it reminds me of a vampire movie. I think people are going to need help after getting out of these cults, because that is what they are. Wacko. The Pentagon really on a circular email, and someone from MI5 just texted me to tell me in Morse code that the kettle has boiled. Private and confidential E. And I think that last bit was a bit of a sarcastic joke from her, making fun of Simon, saying that he'd got this special information. And here is she goes on to show one of the emails that has been circulating in Connecting Consciousness. And this is from the coordinators from the area. They sent it, but there's been lots of similar emails written. And this one says, yesterday evening, Simon shared with all coordinators that he had recently received an encrypted message from a patriot in the Pentagon, which he read out from his phone. It said that there was a high chance of an interruption in the banking system from September the 24th, 2022 onward, and that all members were advised to take out sufficient funds. £300 to £500 was suggested. As the shutdown may last a week, it could also be shorter, 3 to 5 days. All banks will be closed during this period, under this scenario, and there will be no online payments. No personal savings will be lost during this operation. You were also advised to have a 2-week stock of necessities, food, water, and candles and warm clothing. Please do not email us asking for further information on this, as we do not have any. More information will be shared if and when it is made available to us. Much love. And then the coordinators signed off. So this was sent to many coordinators in that area, and lots of similar emails were sent by other coordinators to their members in the Connecting Consciousness organisation. There is one of the many emails that circulated around this matter in the Connecting Consciousness group that Simon runs, organisation that Simon Parkes runs, all giving the intel that Simon was given from a patriot in the Pentagon, and further scaremongering. And Simon wasn't the only person, the only guy that was putting out information similar to this around the 24th. However, Simon was the only one that said he'd received this information from a leak in the Pentagon, which, was, of course, BS, as per usual. This is not the only time that Simon has given dates. He is a lot more careful about giving dates, and I've seen him plenty of times saying, well, I'm not going to give dates because he knows that people will call him out on it, which I have plenty of times. But he did so in this circumstance, and that was probably because so many other influencers, content creators were saying the same date, and he wanted to jump on board with that. He didn't want to miss the train with being right this time, right? Which he wasn't, and they were all wrong, and I didn't have to eat my hat, of course. I've got another example here I can show you, and I put this in the 30 Reasons I Don't Trust Charlie Ward video. So this is going back, over a year and a half ago when I put this one out. So this, of course, was another example of Simon Parkes saying that he had heard from his sources that there was going to be an emergency broadcast. The emergency broadcast system was going to go live. And this was very early, considering I made this video in February 2021. This was very early 2021, if not late 2020. And it didn't happen, of course, as they never do when people put out these things. What's most concerning is how viral these guys are going, and people are believing them and not being concerned about anything that they've said or done in the past. I recently made a video on Simon Parkes. Please feel free to watch it on my channel. In that video, I show him telling us that the mainstream media, and Charlie's agreeing, the mainstream media is going to be shut down by the 13th of January, which of course
did not happen.
Hours, all the big media channels were going to go down as well.
All the big media channels are going to go down. These are, guys, when they make these claims, these claims, the words mean something.
And what I hear...
Look at them nodding their heads.
Thing, Simon?
Yes, but I thought it was going to happen on Wednesday.
So did we. Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yes.
Tuesday, Wednesday.
Okay, so Simon recently put out his latest update, and it was put out on the 31st of October, Halloween. So I've had a look over this, and I will show some of it. It's 30 odd minutes long. I'm going to go over some of the things that he raised there, and even Intel Lady, who has a video coming out very soon on the matter, has sent me some early access intel from Lyman Sharks to go with my thoughts on what Simon has been saying in his latest update.
These days, Halloween, for most people, it's trick-or-treating. It's, Hollywood's idea of a bit of fun, lots of children going out. And for the vast majority of people, that's all it is to them. It's just time to go and buy things in the shops and give sweets or candy, as Americans would say, to kids. Those of you who are watching this, you well know that there is a much darker side to this, unfortunately. And we know that lots of satanic, evil things take place to children. And it's one of the reasons, of course, that President Trump stood and did what he's doing, and why the White Hats are doing what they're doing.
For most people, Halloween is a bit of fun. We like to dress up. I do like a good dress up. I do like to see it, and also it's about sharing sweeties, giving sweeties out to the little ones. In America, candy. You say candy, don't you, in America? But over here we say sweeties. We give sweeties out, and so there's a lot of fun. But as you well know, there's the other side to it. There's the evil, the pure evil, and the rituals and that sort of thing. And I can't seed it into your consciousness enough that there is so much of it that goes on. It's everywhere. It's all over. It's everywhere that happens. And it's the little people. You've got to think of them. You've got to think of them. And really imagine it in your mind, because that's what we do. We like to seed your consciousness with it. Just to get it through. Just to get it into your brain. And that's what they do. That's what the bad guys do. Anyway, right, so happy Halloween. Anyway.
Okay, so I do understand that Halloween has a history, and that there are people out there that could use this holiday as their time of the year to conduct nefarious activities, sacrifices, or whatever people do on Halloween. But let's be straight here. All Halloween is to pretty much the whole of the world's population is just an overly commercialized holiday. It's all about money, it's all about selling, and it's all about, and for a lot of people, it's about fun, having parties and going door to door, doing the whole trick-or-treating thing with their children. Now, I'm not a big fan of Halloween myself, but what's got to stop is, I've seen a lot of people online calling people Satanists because they let their children go out trick-or-treating, or because they've dressed up for Halloween. Oh, you're celebrating Halloween. You must worship Satan. I mean, it's ridiculous, guys. You got to kind of wake up to that. I mean, yeah, fair enough. If you want to talk about the history of Halloween and things like that, then you can relate that to other people. But don't start calling people Satanists for enjoying the holiday in the way that they want to, for letting their children go trick-or-treating. It's ridiculous. As a kid, like I say, I don't really celebrate it, but as a kid, I used to go out trick-or-treating. I remember my father said to me, oh no, you boys can't go out trick-or-treating because it's I don't agree with it. It's basically begging, going door to door, asking people to give you stuff. And if anything, I can relate to that, and I can see the point in what my father was trying to make there, rather than telling people, no, don't do that, don't let your children dress up, don't have any fun on that day because of Satan. And of course, if you've got someone saying, oh yes, it's Halloween, it's my time of the year to sacrifice a child, then obviously call them out and call them a Satanist and direct your anger and hate at them. But don't, I think Simon kind of gets it as well. He's saying, oh, for most people, it's about sweets or candy. But then he goes on to say, but there is a dark attachment to it, and think about the children, which again, as the email was saying earlier, you keep bringing up the children as a kind of selling point, as something to draw people in. That I care about the children. I'm aligned with Trump, so I'm one of the good guys, one of the white hats. It's BS. It's programming.
Let's just first of all talk about the truther community. There seems to be an awful lot of issues going on. Truthers talking about other truthers, and that's not very helpful. It doesn't really set the scene that we want.
Truthers talking about other truthers, and that's not what we want. Of course it's not what you want, Simon, because you're being exposed. You're not going to want people pointing out things that you say that are wrong, that don't happen. You're not going to want people talking about your past and inconsistencies. Of course you're going to tell your followers, oh, those truthers that are trying to find the truth about these people that are apparently linked to the Pentagon and have all this intel. Well, that's not helpful. Of course it's helpful. Who are you trying to fool? Well, we know who you're trying to fool, and we know that it's working for a lot of them. But truth always comes out in the end. You can't lie forever.
I'm aware there have been a number of meetings in Mar-a-Lago and in other locations as well. And in some of those instances, I'm aware of what has been discussed. And in one instance, the person suggested that I might like to go live with the information that he had got from one of these meetings, and he shared that with me. And I looked at it very carefully, and I thought, no, it wasn't accurate. It didn't match what I had received from other locations and places. And I chose not to run with that story.
What, do you want, a bloody sweetie? Brilliant. It looks like you're learning. It looks like you're learning, Simon. I mean, I'm going to call BS once again that anyone of any importance gave you any intel of any importance. But, as you say, I looked at it and thought, no, I'm not going to do that, because there's people hot on my tail that are exposing me for spreading BS all the time. And what I want to tell you is I looked at it and I looked at my other sources and I thought, that's not accurate. Well, I'm glad you're doing some of that, but what do you want? A cookie? I mean, come on. The amount of times you haven't bothered to vet your information, or you've just made it up. Who knows? I'm not going to give you a medal for suddenly saying, oh, I vetted some information and it wasn't accurate. The problem is you don't learn, and you will continue. One of the next things you will talk about is some other intel that you've got, which you think is accurate, or you're going to try and push as accurate.
Others have, but I decided that was maybe a strategic piece of disinformation. I have no idea why all of these things are being released. The good guys are saying things to distract the bad guys. The bad guys are saying things to distract the good guys.
The good guys are trying to say things to distract the bad guys. The bad guys saying things to distract the good guys. You don't know what intel you're apparently receiving. And if either of them want to distract the other one, they're going to tell you a load of BS to spread that BS, aren't they? Because people are listening to you. So can we pretty much say that anything that comes out of your mouth on camera is going to be BS?
And it's pretty nigh on impossible to try to discern threads of truth, but nevertheless, there are issues in the truther community, and as Charlie Ward so ably says, people who perhaps attack other truthers obviously don't have as much time that others have. In other words, your time should be more valuable spent in helping people, getting the word out there, researching and supporting people.
Of course, Charlie says that. These people attacking other truthers or exposing them for their lies and their BS, they've got too much time on their hands to be presenting the fact that myself, Charlie, and my friend Simon have been lying. Of course, they are all, they're not helpful, and they're not doing anything good. They're not supporting other people bringing forward truth. Well, if you're not bringing forward truth and you're lying to many, many people, you are not a good guy. And that is what, that's what some people are not getting. And that's what, Simon and Charlie are continually covering up, oh, well, you're not helping me and Charlie, so you're the bad guy. No, you're the bad guy. I'm exposing you.
So this is not the time, if it's ever the time, but it's certainly not the time now when we're just nearly there for people to do that. But I suppose the bottom line is that certain people are exposing themselves and showing exactly what's in their heart. And maybe they've kept it hidden for months and months or years even. And now, they're being shown for what they are. So perhaps from that perspective, it's a good thing.
You are so manipulative. You, with your, the way you present your words, the way you deflect and shift a narrative. Oh, someone's exposing me. Well, they're exposing themselves then, aren't they? It just continues to astound me that this shit flies. That people go, oh yes. You know what? I won't even looking into what's been dug up about me, or I will completely overlook the fact you said this the other week, and this then happened, and so that you were full of it. I will completely overlook that because what you're saying makes sense about how these people are obviously exposing themselves. Not me, themselves, of course.
Right, so those will seem negative things, but they are nevertheless things that are taking place in our community, and I wasn't going to just hide from it. Nashville, thank you very much to, first of all the CC coordinators and the CC members who helped organise what was a fantastic event. Clear case of patriots working together. It wasn't CC's show. CC has the capability on the ground to do a lot of the organising and to put people in place and to get things done. But other groups did other things as well. So it's not just about CC, it's about the three groups that I've just mentioned. And that's what makes us such a strong team right across the globe, is that all patriots, spiritual people, people who are standing for truth, all working together. And I thought that was great. So many great speakers there. And Charlie Ward was presented with yet another Connecting Consciousness t-shirt. That guy will have a massive wardrobe of CC t-shirts. He'd probably say to me, please, Simon, no more t-shirts. Let's have some pants in future. So once again, thanks to everyone who made that take part. And as somebody said to me, well, Simon, you weren't there. Well, no, because Charlie actually has a exemption certificate, which means that he doesn't have to be stuck with a needle. Very early doors, he got on to that program as a test person. And still the fact that if you are in Great Britain, you cannot fly to America unless you have had the needle. And obviously, I'm not going to do that. So if people are sort of saying, well, where's Simon? Well, that's a big reason as to why.
So I want to start off just by thanking the members of my organisation out in Nashville, Tennessee. You did us proud out there. Fraudy was out there. Fraudy very much on tour in the United States of America because he's allowed. He's allowed. He got immediately straight on to the official program of exemption that is officially a real thing. It's so real. It's absolutely real that you can get an exemption. You can get into the United States of America that way by signing signing on to it. And I just didn't do it quick enough. Obviously, I've got my ears to the ground. I've got intel coming out of my ears. We know this. But for some reason, the White Hats forgot to tell me. They forgot to tell me about it. So I wasn't able to get onto that exemption. But Fraudy was, you see. So Fraudy is one above me on that scale, you see. So he was allowed and I wasn't. But, it's just the way it is. I'm holding the line here. That's what I'm doing. Okay, just to remind you, grippy gloves. Got them on, just to remind you that they are very much still available with that magic 17% off. Gripping onto 5D. Right, okay. A promo code is Lyman's Grippy. Okay, great. Right, yeah, so thank you very much for the CC members that were out there that made Fraudy feel so welcome when he came to do his meet and greet, his chat with you all. Had a great time, but stop giving him CC t-shirts. He's got loads. He's got so many CC t-shirts. He's actually put in a request for something a bit different. Change it up, he said. Change it up. Perhaps, you know, an extra large pair of women's knickers might be a good. That was his suggestion. He rather likes that idea. So let's let's make that happen.
All right. So you've waited long enough. Let's talk about some of this intel. Lots of questions I'm asked concerning the RV, and I generally try to push people towards Charlie Ward because he is the official spokesperson for the Quantum Financial team. But that would be to abdicate my responsibility as leader of the CC organization if I just sort of shrug my shoulders and point you in another direction. That's not really very good. I do have a reasonable knowledge of it. And so what I wanted just to let everyone know is that there cannot be a full public RV while there's a war raging. All countries, including Russia, signed up to the Nasara-Jassara agreement. And part of that is that there's no war. Clearly, we've got a war. So whilst I accept there could be a small RV, a private RV, that's not really the right word for this, but I can't think of another word. So there can be a small readjustment to sort of off the table action. But in terms of the perception of the public, the change in the laws, the change in the way money is used, excuse me, that really has to be public, and that cannot take place while there's still a conflict.
So he says, so many people are asking me about the RV because, of course, I so confidently spoke about what was going to happen around that before. However, nowadays I like to fob people off to Charlie Ward. Not that I'm, exonerating myself of any responsibility over the matter or anything, but I like to fob people off onto Charlie Ward because he is the official spokesperson. Yeah, official. He's the official spokesperson for it. So I like to direct them that way. And what I want people to understand, he says, is that, now here's the excuse now that there's a war going on. But even though there's pretty much always a war going on somewhere in the world, but there you go. That's the get out. There's a war going on, so it's not going to happen. It might happen in some sort of small way, he says, but it's not going to be the official one. But until this war's over, until the war is won, we're not going to see that. Well, there was very much a war going on, right, with all this. 2 years ago, when you both started talking about this and saying that you guys were, officials, he's the official spokesperson, Charlie Ward, around this matter. So, kick that can down that road.
Also, I want to move on to the RV. It's not, look, you've got to stop this. Do you not understand we're in a war? Can't happen. Look, they've all signed up to it, you see, because all of these countries have signed up to it, and it's good to go. Now, I know Fraudy has said that it's happening, it's already happened, it's already going ahead, and then he said it wasn't. He's taken things off the table, put them back, taken it off again. It's confusing, but disinformation is necessary. Just remember that. Until the war is over, we can't even think about going into the RV. So hang tight with your Zims and your dongs. Just hang tight. They are going to be worth an absolute fortune very soon. Absolute fortune. So just hang on to them,
So then all eyes should be on when will this conflict end? And that's a very, very helpful question, because we have the 8th of November coming up. And it seems weeks ago now, I said 60-40 against the midterms taking place. So 60% no, there'll be no midterms, 40% yes, there will. And a bunch of people said to me, why are you giving such a high chance to it, 40%? You know, at the time when this debate first broke, nearly everybody was saying there's absolutely not going to be a midterm. And I did do on that podcast, explained the pros and cons of both sides, and why both sides could work for the white hats.
So as far as the midterms go, let's now I've been criticised a little bit for making my suggestion that it was 60-40. The 60 being that the midterms were not going to go ahead, the 40 that they would, and people were not happy with the 40. Not happy with the 40 at all. And I said, well, you know, it's just, forget numbers, and just go with, you know, the bigger picture, which of course is that, you know, the white hats and the good guys and the bad guys, and the bad guys say things to the good guys, and then the good guys say things to the bad guys, and it all it's confusing, isn't it? But anyway, we'll see what goes on. You know, the things could happen. Remember the 5th of November. Do you know? I mean, something might happen around that time where they say we're pulling it. We are. There's no. It's not happening. No, finished, done. We're not doing the midterm. That could happen. Could happen. Possibly, maybe, might do.
And I drew on the negative side in terms of if there were midterms, it will most likely be go on further. So this is the start of the week. I'm going to look forward to getting off the 31st and getting on to the 1st of November. But there's absolutely no reason in my mind why Russia can't sort this out in 5 days. Now, again, people will laugh at that, and that's maybe because you haven't got any military experience. And I'm, you know, just saying that if you understood the makeup of the Russian military and the lack of effort they've put in, and you don't believe the mainstream news, then it's quite feasible that Russia could literally finish this in 5 days.
Are you flipping kidding me, Simon? Russia's going to finish this in 5 days. This was obviously on October the 31st. 10 days later, Russia withdrew from Kherson, a key Ukrainian city. And he says people wouldn't understand this without any military experience. What military experience do you have, Simon? Apart from the kayfabe, the lies about working in the Trump administration or whatever you're trying to push, that you're working with the US Navy, etc. No. What military experience do you have? I'll give it to Simon. He's well read, and he'll go on to talk about history and World War II here, which makes absolutely no sense to the current geopolitical climate and what's going on and the war today, which is very different from a world war and World War II back in the 40s.
Let's look at what's going on over in Russia. I would say, they could get it done in 5 days. And anyone who says that can't be done, you know nothing about military anything. You know nothing. Nothing at all. You're not an expert like me, okay? I know a lot of things. I've been around a lot of military installations. I've been around a lot. I've been on tours. Not the, generic tours that anyone can sign on to and, certain times in the year or anything like that. An actual invitation from an actual person. Actually, I went on one. They gave me a badge.
As any student of history will be laughing at mainstream media reporting that the Russians have run out of food, or they've run out of gasoline, or they've run out of ammunition, or the mud's too thick, or it's too cold, or it's too warm. They've run out of weapons, or the Western weapons are better than the Russian weapons. And I'm getting a bit fed up and having to remind people that in 1945, the most mechanized, advanced nation on the earth in terms of its military prowess was Germany. Yes, America was the greatest for industry, but America was having to build up to that position, and America was dominant in the, you know, the France area, the French area coming up to the Rhine. So it was the Russians that were really almost solely taking on the Germans until June 1944. Yes, I know there was the Africa campaign, and there were other actions, but generally speaking, it was the Russians that defeated the Germans. And there were a number of key battles. The Russians didn't really run out of food, didn't really run out of ammunition. The mud stopped both sides. The Russians still fought on in the snow. And the Russians put something like nearly 4 million troops on the ground. So if we can get a grasp of the military side of it, what we're being shown by the mainstream is a very inaccurate portrayal of the situation. And this morning, that's the 31st, something like 200 cruise missiles were launched by Russia and have taken out every hydroelectric generating power station in Ukraine. There is now no electricity in many parts, not just of the capital, but the whole country. Now, from a military strategic point of view, that informs me that they are seriously looking at a much wider ground invasion. They could have done this weeks ago, months ago. They didn't. Therefore, there must be a reason why. And if we've got the 8th of November as the midterms, and if one way or the other they're going to happen or they're not going to happen, perhaps a lot of things have got to be done and dusted, as we say here, before the 8th.
Yes, the mainstream media is not one to trust. However, you have to take what you can from the mainstream and what you can find out by digging deep and doing good research. And I can't stress enough that people need to look at all angles, look not only at the Western media, but also what's been put out by the Russian media and Chinese and elsewhere, as well as doing research into other areas. Saying that, what we are looking at, he says, is a unrealistic portrayal of what's going on. But what we are looking at from Simon is an unrealistic portrayal of what's going on in terms of perspective. Yes, Simon seems to give a quite impressive account of history when he's talking about World War II. The Russians continue to fight on in the mud and the snow. And he says there was not much going on elsewhere. The Russians were doing all of the fighting, apart from maybe the Africa campaign. It's very, very different. It's a whole different geopolitical climate in this day and age. It's a whole completely different story to World War II and the Russians at the time fighting the Nazis, with the British that had been fighting since 1939, had been putting pressure on the whole time. Don't get me wrong, without the Russians, the British would have folded at that point, and certainly without the Americans coming to help back up the British, who'd been proudly fighting for 3 years before they even came along to help. Things would have been very difficult, and it's all about and very different, and it's all about perspective. And that is what he's missing in this. Oh yeah, this happened, that happened. The Russians held on. Yes, they did. There was many key factors. There was many battles. There was many pressures coming in from the West, not necessarily the Western Front for a while, but in terms of numbers, yes, Russia had an incredible amount of numbers, to the point where they were literally throwing their troops into the face of death because they had so many. Stalin was not a good guy. He wiped out all of his generals because they had made military mistakes. He literally killed them off and got a whole new set of generals, which was a big mistake for him because he'd lost a lot of his military experience in the top ranks. because of, for doing that, which was brutal. But why did the Nazis stall the most advanced military superpower of the world at that time, as he says? Well, there was many factors, and yes, one of them was the weather. When the Battle of Stalingrad happened, it got very adverse, and the Nazi troops were not equipped for such a battle. But they both fought on for a long time over Stalingrad, and the Russians held ground. But they had the advantage of being used to the weather, being able to fight in that when the Nazis were ill-equipped to, being the defenders of such. There's so many factors behind it, but ultimately the Russians held Stalingrad. And then soon after, Stalin got the support, the actual boots on the ground military support that he had been vying for and pushing for with Churchill and Roosevelt for some time. And D-Day happened, and then suddenly they were fighting a war on two fronts, and a war which ultimately they could not win. So don't give me this, the Russians won the war. It was a collective effort from all the allies, and they had different pressures and a different geopolitical and military climate to deal with at the time. Things were very different. 70 years changes a lot. This is not by any means the same as World War II, and you shouldn't be comparing it to it.
Remember the 5th of November. Supposing we get to the 5th of November and something happens, and somebody cancels the midterms, right hard up to that. But if that is the case, then surely that means that not only are we in the end game, but we're in the last few days of the end. And, that's why for those of us who have struggled on and fought your way through all this, this is the time. And if you followed me, you know how I dislike the term popcorn. And I think there are lots of Americans, actually, who don't like the term sit back, enjoy the popcorn. This isn't anyone, I'm sorry, I'm going to get cross here, but anyone who's saying that is detached from what's occurring, not just in the US, but across the world. People have lost loved ones, maybe to the injection, maybe to COVID, maybe to lots of other things. Maybe people have kill themselves, suicide, because they lost their job or because their family disowned them. People have lost children. Where's the sitting down and enjoying the movie? Why would you grab a bag of popcorn? This has been incredibly difficult. Not for the unawake and unaware. They just go on like an old log on a river. They just float on down, bouncing off the banks. They haven't a clue what's happening to them. It's the rest of us who are awake and aware, and we see what's going on. We're the ones that weren't allowed to do this or do that because we weren't jabbed. We're the ones who were made to look as if we were fools. And so I do wish that commentators who get excited like a teenage boy and start saying, it's a great film, enjoy the popcorn.
You guys know what I'm going to bring up here, right? You don't like people using the term popcorn. I don't like that either. I think it's ridiculous. And I the way you've worded it, I can see your reasons why. What about your good friend Charlie Ward? It's all pantomime. Oh, good things are happening this week. Sit back and enjoy the show. It's all pantomime. And I'm sure, Simon, I'm pretty sure that you've said similar things before in your previous shows, maybe a way back now. I mean, if anyone's got proof of that, please send me the clips. But I'm sure that Simon said the same. But certainly Charlie doesn't stop banging on about how it's all pantomime. Sit back, enjoy the show. Oh, good, there's good things. Lots of things are happening this week, and it's just great time to be alive. Complete contradiction to what you're saying. Your good friend Charlie Ward. Complete contradiction. The one that your fans are giving these T-shirts to, and people are also supporting alongside you. The exact things that you're saying that you hate and you think that it is despicable is exactly what Charlie does in nearly every show. lots of things happening this week. That's been happening every week for the last 2 years. Lots of big things happening this week. All can't wait for you to see what's going to happen, as if he knows what's going to happen. And obviously nothing really happens. And you know, he's saying, yeah, but it's all pantomime, and enjoy the show. Sit back and enjoy the show. It's a great time to be alive. So, complete contradiction to what you've just said there, your good friend Charlie Ward is. And like I say, I'm sure that you were doing the same at some point. I don't know if I've ever heard you say about popcorn, but you've certainly said that, you know, things are happening. I may be wrong on that one, but you're supporting a guy, you know, your buddy, your bro, your homie, Charlie Ward is certainly doing that constantly. You think that's out of taste? Maybe you should tell him.
And that is not the way to engage with people. People want honest answers. They want good intel. They don't want to be run around in circles. And they just need to know this is done and it's over with. And we can get on with a better life.
If you're just sitting around, I tell you something I'm sick of, the term popcorn. The term popcorn. I mean, not the food, you know, the food item. But the term popcorn, you know, I mean, it is a food item, but I'm terming it popcorn. I hate the word popcorn, you know, and people just sitting around, the idea that you're just sitting, even though we've told you, you know, for the last 2 years to just sit back and enjoy the show and enjoy your popcorn. I'm now saying that that's wrong. And I'll just make sure that any past interviews where I've said that are erased from the internet, because do you know what? I'm sick of it. I'm fed up. I'm absolutely ticked off with hearing about popcorn and people sitting back. Here's what I'm going to say. If you're one of those people that says sit back, relax, enjoy the show and watch and eat your popcorn, or look at your popcorn or whatever, no medbeds for you. Because if it's between somebody who has been, you know, flying the flags for the white hats and really making themselves useful by giving me great ideas about healing centres and that sort of thing. If it's between that person and someone saying sit back, relax and enjoy your popcorn, I know who I'm picking to go on the med beds first. And it won't have anything to do with anyone who's having popcorn. Like, that's a hint. You know, I know it you know, when it comes to cashing in your Zim for all your free money, for all the free stuff that you're going to get with the RV, I'm not going to be picking someone who's been banging on about popcorn. Not doing it. I'm not having it.
It is nice when you've got some special projects in your heart that you actually really need to get funded and get supported. But remember, rather than just sitting and waiting for this bounty to come, it would be a great idea for people to actually go out and start doing some good. It really would. Charlie has mentioned about the med beds, and he said that, you know, if you turn up I want to be healed. I'm not, you know, this, that, and the other. I just want to be healed. I wonder how that will go with someone who's spent many, many months of spiritual or patriotic work trying to help people. You know, who's more likely to get a benefit from going on a med bed. So again, there's a lot of people clasping their Zim notes or their SKRs who are saying, you know, give me the money and I'll do this and I'll do that. I think one of the questions I would ask them if I was in a redemption center is, fair enough, but what have you been doing in the meantime? You know, what have you actually been doing to help fellow man and woman? You know, what's your track record? What's your trajectory? Show me how you've been using your time. And that's really where we are, I think. It's about people showing the true side, not 1 minute to redemption time, you know, standing in the queue of the redemption center, as it's portrayed, you know, and then running around in your mind what you're going to do and all the rest of it. What did you do 5 years ago? That might be that, you know, you hadn't woken up 5 years ago, but if you're a good person, you know, you'll have good deeds to your name. And I won't be asking those questions, by the way. Others will be asking those questions of those individuals. We know at CC, people came to us without necessarily ZIMs or SKRs. They put their projects in, and like all of us, we wait, and we wait patiently. There's nothing else we can do. You know, we just wait to be told, got the green light, and off you go. So don't please expect a great song and dance or a drum roll from me when we get the funding and the organization goes live like that. You will just see an increase in the development of the projects.
So when Judgment Day comes, it won't be Simon asking, but people will be judging you. What have you done? How did you support Simon and Charlie through all of their BS? This day will never come in the way that he's portraying it. And when a day does come, a Judgment Day does come, they will be judging Simon and Charlie on their actions. And they won't be judging you on your actions, but you'll be left there thinking, what did I do during that time? Who did I support? What did I look into? What did I pay attention to? And no one's going to judge you, and you're not going to have access to med beds or to free money through this sort of judgment. The only judgment that will come is the judgment from yourself, of yourself. So all I'm going to say, and all I'm going to leave this on, is think for yourselves. Do research. Don't be taken in by just anyone, even me, even all the things that I've said in this video and all the other videos that I make. Okay, go and do your own research on it. If I show clips, if I show evidence, go and double check that. Charlie and Simon give no evidence, so, or very little if they do. So it's a bit more difficult with them, and in which case you've got to ask, why is there a massive void and absence of evidence of anything that they are saying? Why is nothing coming true? Why, as time after time, anything that I learn or that I hear through these broadcasts from these people not happening? Why is this lasted 2 years now, and everything that they've said is like, okay, didn't happen, but let's hang on in there because, you know, and now why are these people saying, well, you will be judged, and if anything, you know, as beneficial to the world does happen as med beds that will save so many people, why are these people telling you you will be judged before you can get on one? And if you were a member of CC and you were doing this and you were following our videos and giving us the likes and you were swatting off anyone that was trying to tell you anything otherwise about us, no matter how true and how factual and how much evidence is behind that, then, you know, you will be judged accordingly. I'm not telling you you will be judged in that way. I'm telling you, you know, be a judge of yourself. And that's where I'm going to leave it. And there was more in this broadcast that he made. I just don't have the will. I just don't have the patience and the will to carry on. And I could then keep commenting on all the little things he's saying. And, you know, this is already probably going to be an hour video. Who wants to sit through 2 hours of this? This is my update. And, you know, I know it's... I started it 2 weeks ago. I hope that you've enjoyed. In terms of following me, please make sure you subscribe. Please make sure you share this out to anyone that it may help. And, you know, if you want to support me even further, there is a link in the description where you can buy me a caffeinated drink, for which I very much do appreciate if you want to support my channel. Give it up for Intel Lady, who has supported me through this channel and, you know, who I've done lots of collaborations with. Please make sure you go and subscribe to her channel. There is a link to the video that I've shown parts of in the description, and from there you can subscribe to her channel. Make sure you give her some support. I'm going to leave you with a bit more from Lyman Sharks to play us out, and until next time, follow Seeker of Truth. Good night, everyone.
It's Halloween, so I will be, I'm busying myself, in fact, actually, do you know what? Blicky Peg, get the dogs ready. Get the dogs ready and the flashlight, torch. They say flashlight in America. Torch. Get the torches and the dogs. Just get a bag of sweets as well. We need it for the sustenance. Right. Okay. So I'm going out now, celebrating Halloween with the dogs. A bit of dogging, Halloween dogging, and I will be back after. Let's say after the 8th. Let's say after the 8th, and we'll just see. We'll just see what happens. You'll see. You'll see. You'll see who's right. And those of you who are loyal, you'll be back on the 8th. After the 8th as well, and we'll just see, won't we? We'll just see. I mean, if anything changes, it's because the White Hat's made it so. But there you go. That's all I've got for you. And come on, Bicky Peg. I've not got all day. Right, I've got to go. Thank you. Thank you very much.